this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your October forecast. And thank goodness we're done with September. September was eclipse season, so we're kind of dealing with the fallout or the inspiration that was caused by September. And that's really important for us to really understand when I'm giving this forecast today, because moving forward, I think the months start to get a little bit easier. We start to understand where we are going to be pointing forward. So let's talk about our personal planets, because again, I think that's a big deal when we're trying to understand what our position is at this point in the universe. And for you, the Sun and Mercury are both in Libra in the seventh house. Jupiter, Mars, Venus moves into the sixth house in Virgo. That happens around the 8th, just Venus moves in there. And so let's talk about the first couple major energies. So the Sun and Mercury. So the Sun, how you think, your character, your core. And Mercury, how you think, analyze, interpret information, as well as how you communicate, are going to be in the seventh house in Libra. So we're thinking about moving forward with the new ideas and new inspirations that we have. I think there's a tremendous change in your circumstance as far as when it comes to unions, partnerships, business partnerships, endeavors that require a collaboration. And I think for many of you, you're at that fork in the road. If some of you were burnt by love, or a union of some sort, then I think that you have been very shielded and very protective, and you were experiencing the apprehension as far as that. But I think there's a secret yearning at this point to change your situation. I do think that there is opportunity before you, but you may be still holding back what you desperately desire, and it's right before you, but you're just scared to embark on it, or you're scared to let somebody get close enough to you to show you the way. Again, the seventh house is the house of others, so it doesn't have to be romantic endeavors. It simply could just mean allowing somebody to get actually close enough to you to make a significant difference in your life. And after all, that's what life is all about. So if we're in a bad place, often we attract really bad people, and it brings out the worst in us. And often what is the worst in them is the worst in us. And so it causes us to reflect about where we're at emotionally in our journey with others. And so for you could, it just depends on where your journey is. If your journey is in self-reflection, and if it's in ascension, there's a lot of energy opposing how you would normally go about things. So I have a deep compassion for what your struggle is, because for you, ego plays a very important part in your wiring and the soul of you. And with all of this energy opposing individualism and opposing a self-based motivation, it has been very difficult for you to find the mental balance in between your desires, your needs, your wants, and seeking balance with others. And so this has been somewhat of a challenge. You are really taking a hit, especially with all this Uranian and Aries energy. And, don't let it get to you. This is a point that you are growing and manifesting into something bigger than you can understand. And you just have to accept the fact that at some point during growth, we experience trials with that. So Jupiter, Mars, Venus, which moves into Virgo on the 8th, are all going to be in Virgo in your 6th house. So this suggests to me kind of a change in thought process, a change in how you work with others, a change in your mental and health routine. So I think you need to seek more of a balance. I think for you, many of you are at this big fork in the road where you're looking out and you're seeing a new destination, but the challenge is getting there. You have had some small triumphs. I think you're pretty proud of what you've achieved, but there is still a sense that because of all of this Uranian challenge, that your sun, your core, your authentic self is somewhat dampened, and you feel almost like you're being targeted because of all the challenges that you've been having. But understand that with challenge comes tremendous new insight, new ideas, new approaches, new ambitions. So when we experience trials and tribulations, that is when we experience the highest manifestation of what our potential is. So don't look at it like the universe is focusing, targeting you, people are targeting you, and there's a lot of energy, or there's a lot of talk about Uranus and Aries energy, and it's negative toward you. It's not. It's simply regarding your ego. It's simply being in a point of introspection and looking out at your journey, understanding there's a different road that it's taking, understanding that you have tremendous influence, understanding that you are at a point of change, but that change can be unsettling because you're kind of a control freak and you like to always know where you're going. But you know, this is a new mindset. It's a new way of being. So you've got a lot to interpret, and I think if you develop some strong mental well-being routines, if you really address your coping methods, if you really stop being egomaniacal and really focus on the long-term outcome, I think the reward is tremendous knowledge, tremendous power, stability, leadership, but leadership in a way that I don't think that you used to have to push your way to get the leadership that you desired, but now I think it's more of just an admiration of being humbled and watching you go along your journey that will provide the leadership for others. Mercury goes direct in Libra on the 9th, and for you this is in your 7th house. So I think we had some reflection. I think we had some trials. I think we were pulled back into some of where we lost our power. Mercury retrograde tends to make us look back, pause. It's very an analytical energy, so it's more about our thought process, more about journaling. It's more about introspection than it is about having conversations, moving forward, and allowing others to stimulate us analytically. It's more about getting on the same page with the universe and our past karmic pulls or ties. So I think there's a lot of, especially when we're talking about the house of others. Others, again, mirror where we are at. So if we look back and we see a lot of dysfunction in our past, current past, then I think that's a point of where you're thinking, wow, okay, I see all this dysfunction, these terrible relationships. Note to self, this is a great place to make a wonderful change because I see through others where I need to change. The hardest thing about change is knowing what to change, or knowing how to change it, or knowing the route to take to make a successful change flourish. So I think for some of you, it's just that initial knowing that's half the battle. And others, see, you are very special in the fact that others are mirroring exactly where you need to change. And so it's a hint from the universe, this is what you need to do, right? So Mercury goes direct, so we're not having any more communication problems. We've had some tremendous insight. Analytically, we can start to compute all of that. We can think through, analyze, and compute all of the wonderful knowledge that was attained during the Mercury retrograde. And we can start to make some significant gains in moving forward and moving ahead. And I think that's when we start to experience this significant change moving forward. Now, on the 12th, we have a new moon in Libra in your 7th house. So Libra is the house of partnerships, right? Libra is the energy that rules unions, business partnerships. It's, it's all about collaborating. So for you, this is a new direction, a new beginning, a new thought process on how you want to move forward. So I think moving forward, you desire a little bit more inner peace, tranquility, and downtime, and your relationships have to support this inner peace. You're kind of at a fork in the road when it comes to partnerships, and you've been seeking a lot of knowledge of how to move forward in your current situation. There are opportunities that you have been allowing to pass by only because you're at a great time of change and you don't actually know how you want to take all this knowledge and create the change that is needed. And I think for you, most of the changes that are going to be happening are in something that is going to allow your sun to fully shine and for you to start to experience some enthusiasm for the future. There is a sense of overconfidence, but I love that about an Aries. Never lose your overconfidence, because after all, that's what it's all about. And that's what an Aries is all about. And I wouldn't change a thing about that beautiful part of your personality, because it is what gives you the leadership qualities that you have. On the 17th, we have Mars will align with Jupiter. Now, this is a major energy. I will focus tremendously on the dailies, and I will actually give you your reading, but a brief reading of what you'll be experiencing is Mars is a planet of passion. It's a planet of doing. It's a planet of getting it done. It's a planet of pursuing, fighting for what you want, and creating an outcome that you passionately desire. It is aligning with expansive Jupiter. This is a tremendous energy. This happens on the 17th. It's so funny. In September, we had really amazing energy on the really significant changes in energy on the 17th. And then this month, in another month, in the exact day, we have this big change in energy. So when Mars aligns with Jupiter, this is in a degree that suggests significant, substantial gain from this endeavor. This is not in an early degree. It's not like zero, it's not in 0 degrees or in the lower degrees. It's getting to the point to where we're at the point where we're enthusiastic about making these significant gains. So for you, this is happening in your 6th house. So if you were wanting to launch physical goals, like what you want to look like aesthetically, then this is a tremendous time to launch and get power. October is a power month for you. You're going to be looked upon very, very admirably, and that is because you will have a strength and an endurance and a desire to want to make significant changes that will lead by example. It's an important quality in a leader, is to have leadership by example. Not too many people understand that in today's age, but if we're trying to make laws and we're trying to make significant changes in the world, then we need to have the knowledge and the power and the passion and the self-control to move forward and to practice what we preach. And essentially, I think you guys are getting on board with that. You're not a contradiction anymore. You're moving forward. I mean, I think the opportunities are plentiful before you, and I think choosing the opportunity or the route that you want to go might be a bit of a question, but again, that's part of the quest and part of the journey and part of this brand new thought process that you are enduring. On the 27th, we have a full moon in Taurus. For you, this is in your 2nd house. So Taurus is the house that rules possessions, what you value, how you value it, how others value you. So I think for you, you want to be valued for what you feel on the inside. You often portray strength, determination, and endurance, and at the expense of what you desire, because you're so busy trying to get everybody else where they need to go, which I think is such it's a leadership quality for 100% for sure. But I think you're going to change the fact, and maybe I want to say incorporate some feminine energy in your life. If you want some guidance on what to do with how to get the following that you want and the admiration that you want, I think allowing feminine energy to stimulate the masculine energy will get everybody on board. The softer side of an Aries, I think, is almost sexier than the masculine side, even though I admire a good masculine energy to like take care of a little business. I think the hard thing about it is when this happens that it's like you always gotta put on an air like you're strong and you're confident and you're a doer, but knowing people's vulnerabilities is just as sexy. And look, showing people your vulnerability and your sensitive side, that's part of Taurus energy, if you can reveal that, if you can allow there to be a full moon is a shedding a light on a part of your personality that you hide, or that may be something that you do just internally, or it's shedding the light on the dark part of your personality. On the inside, you're a very mushy masculine energy. I mean, I know you're all guts and glory and, a little kick-ass, but I think deep down in there is a sensitive side to you that does need to be fulfilled. And often people don't feel like they need to fulfill it because you feel they portray you as so badass that I just think that you often don't get emotionally fulfilled in a very sensitive part of you. And I think if you reveal that, I think if you show that, if you really get vulnerable, I think many of the challenges that you have been receiving in life will start to turn around, and it will turn around for the better. That is your October forecast. I will get more in depth in the dailies, but for now, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I will talk to you guys again next month.